Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Plymouth United Church on this third Sunday of Advent, Joy Sunday. Glad to have you with us. Whether you are here in person in the building or whether you're joining us online, we're glad that you have found us and have chosen to worship with us today. If you are joining on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe and do all those good things so that you can make sure to find us every single week and midweek as well when we do things like that. Our holiday season is full. This morning, Joy Sunday. This evening, Blue Christmas. So we're running the gamut of emotions today. Hope that you join us again online or in person for Blue Christmas. The 21st is our winter solstice celebration at 7 o'clock, and we're going to have a sacred fire where we can burn things that we need to burn, and we're going to have s'mores at the end of it with that sacred fire, so whatever is holy that's going up in smoke will get into your marshmallows. We're going to have a labyrinth walk and a drum circle as well. And then our Christmas Eve service at 4 p.m. Hope that you join us for that big, big celebration. And now, let us take a moment to bring ourselves fully to this time and to this place. Consider how you're doing. Take a moment. Get in touch with the aspects of yourself that often run on autopilot. Become aware of the systems of your body and the way that it moves, the way that you move it. Check in with your physical self. Consider that during Advent, one of the things that we are about to celebrate is this idea of the incarnation of the Anointed One of Christ. Incarnation, the bodily form. This incredible person who had a physical body and walked around and healed people and fed people. So, what is going on with your physical self? Where are you finding your healing? And in what ways are you feeding yourself? Honor this body that you have been given, this gift, because it's one way that we are connected with each other, that we all have this physical frame. And as you breathe into your body, think about how you think. How many of your thoughts go on autopilot? They become engaged because you kind of habitually go in those directions. And that's necessary. But right now, let's be intentional about those thoughts. Knowing that one thing that Jesus did during his ministry was ask people questions. What do you want? What about this situation? Have you considered that? And Jesus paused himself and thought many times in the stories that we read. He bent over and wrote in the sand. Our thinking connects us one with another as well. But our thoughts are also ours. So where are you in the way that you think this past week? And can you be present to your own mind just as you're present to your body in this time and in this place? And let's think about our emotions. Also, a way that we run on autopilot. We experience one thing and it makes us happy or sad or any number of other things, and it all makes sense emotionally. So where are you in your emotions when you put your intention into them? How many do you have, if you could count them? And knowing that they don't all make sense together, jumbled up, and yet there they are, that means that they do make sense. So breathe in to the multitude of your emotions, knowing that they help to guide you and inform you. They help you to express yourself and to be the full human being that you are. And consider your spirit. Our spirit goes on autopilot too throughout the week, informing us, inspiring us, strengthening us, comforting us. In what ways can you be intentionally attentive to your spirit and see how it has been moving this week and how you have moved it? Breathe into your spiritual aspect, knowing that it too is a way that we connect one with another, the same way we connect in our emotions, our minds, and our bodies. Breathe into this moment as we bring ourselves fully to this time and to this place together.
Please join me in our responsive call to worship. In Advent, we watch and wait. Come, Holy Child, come. We watch for signs of God's presence breaking into the world. We watch for signs of God's divine nature in each of us. Come, Holy Child, come.
Come, Holy Child, remind us of our divine necessities and hope all into joy. Do I have some kids that want to come up and chat with me? Do I have kids online that want to listen to me chatting?
Spider-Man.
Hello, Spider-Man. Sit down, sit down. So good to see you. How you doing today?
Good.
Doing good? Doing all right? It's good to see you. Today is Joy Sunday. Joy Sunday, right? Happy Sunday. So we had Hope Sunday, we had Peace Sunday, and all those are kind of reflective times where, hope is something that you need when things are down. Peace is something you need when there's chaos. Joy is something that sometimes we need when we're also down, but today we celebrate rather than reflect. And I wanted to encourage you about the things that you feel joyful about. So sometimes we think, I can only find joy if I personally am happy. And I'm not sure that's true. I think there's ways that we can find joy even if we're bummed out. Sometimes I think it's especially important to find joy when we're bummed out, because it helps to lift us out of that funkiness. It helps us to find a new way of thinking and being and relating to one another. When you're grumpy, do you relate to people very well? No. What physically, all right, I'll just be the example. I won't make you do it. But when I'm grumpy, sometimes my body does this. Does your body ever? It's hard to relate to people when you do this. Do you tend to be joyful like this?
No.
No. How do you be joyful?
By smiling.
You by smiling?
And plant stuff.
And you plant stuff? I saw pictures, yes. And you meet people in the eye, don't you? If you're only relying on your own happiness to be joyful and to express that, sometimes it can take a lot of energy. So I want to encourage you that joy is always out there. Beauty is always out there. And that even if you're at your most bummedness, there might be something that catches your eye, and you can say to yourself, well, that's a good thing. I can be joyful for that. I can be joyful that the sun rose today, or I can be joyful that my shoes fit. I'm telling you, there's nothing better than a good fitting shoe. You might not believe me, but as your feet grow, have you ever had shoes that you're like, these don't fit anymore? Yes, right? And that's not any fun, is it? So I'm not making this up. Having a good fitting shoe can make the difference between a good day and a bad day. So let's say you don't have good fitting shoes, you're having a really bad day, and you say to yourself, I'm just going to be grumpy all day long. Or you're going to say, well, my feet hurt, but I really like my shirt. Or I really like your shirt. I really like the way that you smiled just now. When joy can come, when we can find that joy coming from outside of us, it can lift us up and we can let it be like a fountain in our bodies, and it can lift us up. So I want to encourage you to do that. Look outside of yourself for joy and then spread it around. Will you pray with me? Repeat after me. Oh God, sometimes I get all bummed out. And I'm not sure that I even want to be around myself. Help me, oh God. Help me to see your beauty and what you've created in the world that is joyful and good, that is food for my spirit. Help me gobble it up. We love you, God, and we know that you love us. And all God's children said, Amen. Good job. Good job. Thanks for coming up, and we'll see you again next time. Peace.
It is the season of short days and long nights. We light these candles to remember that even in natural darkness, our lights shine. As we join the flames of our souls, our lights burn even brighter to be seen from farther away. Let us not be afraid to shine brightly together, inviting others to join us in the day and in the night.
Our biblical witness today is from Habakkuk, chapter 3, 17 through 19. It says this: "Though the fig tree does not blossom, and no fruit is on the vines, though the produce of the olive fails, and the fields yield no food, though the flock is cut off from the fold, and there is no herd in the stalls, yet, I will rejoice in the Lord. I will exult in the God of my salvation. God, the Lord, is my strength. God makes my feet like the feet of deer and makes me tread upon the heights."
Our ancient witness this morning is a quote by Rumi. "Sorrow prepares you for joy. It violently sweeps everything out of your house so that new joy can find a space to enter. It shakes the yellow leaves from the bough of your heart so that fresh green leaves can grow in their place. It pulls up the rotten roots so that new roots hidden beneath have room to grow. Whatever shakes your sorrow from your heart, far better things will take their place."
It is Joy Sunday, my friends, the day for dancing and singing, for exclaiming the triumph of an expectant newborn king who will heal, inspire, teach, lead his people toward holy love here on earth. I was talking to a friend the other day about life. She said that what she notices is that our experiences and emotions are kind of muted since COVID. I've been thinking about that. The idea of being muted. It's like there's a layer of caution and grief muting our responses to living. It's hard to get back to what was normal, including things like going to church. It's no wonder that most churches are reporting low attendance. We've gotten out of the habit. Our energy has shifted because we filled those spaces with other things, and in general, our priorities of what's important have changed, and we're not sure anymore about what's important. And if the stuff we thought was important enough to have given our energy to it. Some of us might be wondering if there is room for or even a purpose to joy. Our friends, the prophets and poets Habakkuk and Rumi, tell us yes. Yes. Joy is important. Don't take that off of your priority list. Habakkuk is resolute about it. They take note of all the things to mourn. There's no food. The plants are dying. There are no animals to tend because they're all wandering off somewhere. In spite of all that, Habakkuk declares, "Yet I will rejoice in the Lord." God's own self is Habakkuk's strength. Then they say that famous line about God making their feet like hinds feet on high places. At least that's how I have it memorized. I did most of my biblical reading in the King James Version. Now I'm pretty devoted to the New Revised Standard. But when a verse strikes me, when I get like a thought about a biblical story or a verse, it comes to me in King James. I can't help it. And so that verse is hinds feet on high places. It refers to deer who climb mountains. You might also think about sheep and goats, though deer are typically thought of having more elegance than sheep and goats. But I grew up raising goats. Not a lot of elegance on the farm. Well, we had deer, but you don't domesticate them, and we didn't have horses who are also really elegant, but they don't climb mountains. But the goats were fun and unpredictable. My brother and sister-in-law kept this family tradition. So over the course of my whole life, I've seen goats climb things that I can't imagine. Have you ever seen their hooves? They're these hard little things that are split in the middle. I remember as a kid trying to climb something the goats climb. That failed utterly. Oh my goodness, boom, 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 all the way down. I'm like, how do they do it? They've got these stubby little things that they're climbing up these roofs on, or these rocks, or any number of things. And then they would jump off, and they would wiggle around, and they always land on their feet. I tried that too. Where is the grip that they have? If they looked at their own feet, would they say to themselves, well, I can't possibly climb that? Or because they know who they are, would they say, well, that's what these are made for? Habakkuk's use of this image brings to mind those mountains that we have in our lives. Barren, high places that are in front of us. Rough exteriors, craggy ledges, exposed to the elements it seems impossible. Then we think about deer and goats and sheep who frolic in those places. It isn't arduous for them. They delight in the climb. The goats on our farms would seek out what seemed to me terribly difficult terrain to climb as high as possible. And it makes me think, if they can do it, why can't I? What's stopping me from seeing the possibilities? The climb might be challenging, but we can do it. The view from up there is outstanding. We might look at our feet, or maybe our faith, and wonder how in the world we can expect these things of ourselves. I think we don't know our abilities. We don't know the gifts that we've been given. It also makes me wonder if what we're missing isn't having the right gear or the right abilities. Maybe it's our expectation that keeps us from climbing. The joy of the view, the joy of the frolic in the climb itself. Maybe that can replace the catchphrase of, it's about the journey, not the destination, which has become, I believe it, it's true, I say it all the time, it's about the journey, not the destination, but maybe we should say the joy is in the frolic in the climb itself. Rethink that whole thing. Maybe we're weighted down, our souls are muted by recent circumstances going on way too long. I've often said, there's all these things in the Bible that you're supposed to be good at, and long-suffering is one. I've often said I don't do long-suffering very well. Short, intense suffering, give me that, right? Do you pull the Band-Aid off fast or slow? Get it off, just do it. Right? As a little kid, you got a loose tooth, and you think you want it done. No, just do it fast. Just get it out. Make the experience. Long-suffering is harder, especially if you don't have a beginning, a middle, and an end in mind. And that's the situation that we're in. We don't know what's next. Over the course of this week, I've watched the Harris County dashboard for COVID, and these two criteria keep flipping between green and orange. Yellow doesn't even get a play in there. It's green and orange. And I think, well, what's next? And there's conflicting information about it all. It seems like more and more we're in endless ideological battles which drain our internal resources rather than lifting each other up. The teacher and the poet Rumi tells us that sorrow prepares us for joy. It shakes things loose, creates empty spaces, making room for what's better to come. He says it pulls up the rotten roots so that new roots hidden beneath have room to grow. I remember a time when everything in my life was chaos. I don't think I'm talking to people who don't know what that's like. Everything I touched shattered. Everything I did was wrong. My heart was broken. My mind was overwhelmed. And I went to church not because I felt like it, but because it's what I did on Sunday. And I expected nothing. In the tradition I was in at the time, first we had a whole hour of singing, of praising God. During the first song, I could barely lift my voice. I didn't see the point. I thought about leaving. And it occurred to me that everything I was feeling made absolute sense. And at the same time, the world still held beauty. People in my life were still good to me. God was still present in my life and willing to carry with me the weight of everything going wrong. I had forgotten to companion with God and to let God be a part of the shattering. I thought I had to be strong enough and make God proud or something. And as I was rendered mute during that first song, it was almost like God was singing to me. So I started to sing, not because my life had gotten better, not because I had any answers at all to any of the problems that was going on, but because I needed to fill my own soul so that I could face the mountain and see the opportunity to climb. I needed joy to conquer my circumstances, not joy to conquer my sorrow and my fear. Sometimes we think we have to do that. We've got to battle the emotions themselves and beat them into submission. That never works. But joy alongside with my sorrow and my fear, joy alongside my anxiety and my confusion, joy that reminded me that there is more to everything than what was immediately in front of me. Today is a day set aside to remind us to celebrate. In the midst of the blue Advent candles, we've lit the pink one. Blue candles are symbols of reflection. The pink candle is one of celebration. Here's what I've come to know. God is love. Holy love that is at the essence of all relationships and at the core of creation itself. God is sacred presence as our companion. Our teachings about Jesus tell us that his mission was to reconcile us to God's self. We may weep and mourn. We may struggle. We may be angry and tired. And all of that may be exactly right. And at the same time, we can open ourselves up for celebration, giving ourselves to joy, which can cultivate the possibilities for a new green future. It makes the climb up the mountain a way to see beyond our circumstances, an opportunity to leap and to frolic. From that vantage point, the muted colors start to become vibrant again. Our energy lightens, our agility increases, and we become dear, delighting and rejoicing in the moment. There is so much to enjoy. May we find it, revel in it. There, we will be energized and made new as if God's own self was budding life within it. And with that, my friends, I offer you peace.
Shine on our world and
as we prepare our hearts to pray, I'm thinking about how the candle went out. That's what happens sometimes. The candle goes out, and we think, I can't light anything now. With that in mind, please join your hearts with me. Holy light, shine on us and help us to find the candle that is burning. Help us to find the source that can light the candle that is supposed to light all the other things. And to not give up until we find that source, until we find you willing to shine on us, willing not just to shine on us so that we can passively receive it, but to actively light the wick in our own soul so that joy can be a part of our lives. Help us to never give up. Help us to always remember that there is a resource of fire that can burn as a source of light, as a source of heat, in the best way. Help us to look around and together find that source so that candle by candle we each can be lit and see the joy possible, and maybe even burn off the muting that is causing us to only rise so high or see so far or experience colors in a limited way. And yet we will rejoice in you, O God. And not just because it's for our benefit, but because the world needs us. We need the world. We need to all be starting to light one another so that there's the hope and the peace from the previous weeks that we celebrate. Not just the joy. That's not a superficial thing at all. It can be the instigation, the foundation of accepting that there might be hope, that there might be peace, and as we celebrate next week, that there might be love. God, give us some kind of a fervency in our spirit so that we can receive your light, pass it on, and never give up until this world becomes more positive, more hopeful, and more community-oriented. We can't do it. We can't do it without holy, sacred goodness that's outside of ourselves, inspiring us on, whether it comes from a spiritual source or it comes from one another. And because we do this work, counting on each other, as well as you, O God, we lift up our voices in these words of prayer as we say, together we defy the darkness by being the light. We make violence tremble by being peacemakers. When chaos and trauma cause distress, we counter by reaching for love and remembering joy. This day, when people are going hungry, give us bread to share. This day, when people are angry and hurtful, give us forgiveness to offer. When there is so much temptation to be selfish and careless, this day, give us the strength to be kind and intentional. As we wait and prepare to celebrate the birth of a holy child, remind us that we are all born holy and deserve love and tenderness, and the many names of joy. May it be so.
Each week, we collect 2 offerings. One is for the church, which goes to our general fund for the running of the church and our ministries. The second is the loose offering, which is sent to a designated charity, which changes each week. If you brought your offering in person today, you're welcome to drop it in the offering box in the back. It is the glass church near the doors of the narthex. Our loose offering for today will go to the United Campus Ministries, which is an ecumenical partnership of the Presbyterian Church USA, the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, and the United Church of Christ. Since 1968, they've served students, staff, and faculty of multiple college and university campuses in the Houston area. The purpose of their ministry is to offer a deep-rooted, authentic faith that reflects the truth that each person is a beloved child of God. It is an environment open to questions about God and faith, which leads to answers unique to each seeker. They are proud to be a fully open and inclusive ministry. If you would like to give to our general fund, to the loose offering, or to both, you can use bill pay from your bank, send us a check, use the Plymouth app, or use PushPay according to the directions on your screen. As always, thank you for supporting Plymouth and the ministries of the loose offering. Please join me in a responsive offertory prayer. Even during Advent, a time set aside for waiting, it is often very hard for us to wait. Our world worships the power that acts quickly through force.
The time and talent and treasure for this offering is a way for us, a way for us to bring the blood and kingdom to earth.
We open our hearts and spirits to new birth and transformation.
And now, my friends, it's time for you to go from this moment to whatever it is that you have next. I invite what you have next will be fellowship, if you'd like to join us there. Always a pleasure to get to talk to folks and to get to know new people, so please don't be shy. It's good to have that moment if you have that opportunity. But if you do not, and even after the fellowship is over, may you go forth from this place with a seed planted. All those tangled and rotten roots, having been loosened from the soil of yourself, may you have a seed planted. Maybe the seed is of joy itself. Maybe it's of something else that will lead to joy. May you also go from this place blessed with shoes that fit. Shoes that help you to see that you really can climb that mountain. That really you are equipped, and that the joy of the frolic is worth the risk. May you also go from this moment blessed with an extra flame from which you can light the candles in your life that you need to light. And go forth from this place in peace and as peacemakers.